So let's talk about The Burning today. And The Burning is a movie that I just saw for the first time because of Scream Factory's Blu-ray release. And I wouldn't have bought this if it wasn't a horror movie. I wouldn't have bought it without seeing it. But whenever I heard that it was an 80s slasher at a summer camp in the woods, I thought I might as well get it because love Sleepaway Camp and love all the Friday the 13th, or most of them, not all of them, but a majority of them. So I got this, and I was really excited because I just thought this one will be it might just be entertaining like the other, like Friday the 13th and Sleepaway Camp, which are ones I've seen millions of times. And watching The Burning, this genuinely surprised me. It's not like a super original movie, it's just a horror movie like that is a slasher in the woods at a summer camp. But it is really fantastic. I didn't expect this to be this good. And I looked online at like critical ratings of this, and like whenever it came out, a lot of people hated it because it's 1981 when 80s slasher movies just started to thrive after Friday the 13th. And critics, of course, seeing all these movies at the same time were like, oh, this is horrible, and it's a ripoff of Friday the 13th. So I like how you get those critic ratings in the past whenever the movie came out. But on Rotten Tomatoes, I think it's got like an 86%, which is honestly really surprising for a horror slasher movie. There are ones that have that, but that's really surprising to me. And I really, really love this movie, and I'm glad that it has a good critical consensus because I'll still watch a movie whether or not, of course, Rotten Tomatoes has a grading or not on it. But I just thought that it was a cool thing that a slasher movie like this got an 86%. I think Sleepaway Camp got a good percentage too. Which is just really cool that we get these kind of movies that are considered trash or considered guilty pleasures or cult films. But I like that this had a really high rating with some critics. That's really cool because I just didn't expect that. And watching the movie, I could see that. I could see, because this movie is really good on suspense and it's really good on the gore. I really think that it does a fantastic job of that. And it's hard to explain without saying that it's anything else than a typical slasher movie like Friday the 13th. But the thing that's different about it, I guess I could mention, even though it's small, is that the killer in this movie is introduced, and you know who it is the whole movie. I like that. I like that it's not a whodunit. A lot of these movies that came out right in this time frame, like Friday the 13th, the first one, or Happy Birthday to Me, or April Fool's Day, like all these movies have like a whodunit aspect to it, where you don't know who the killer is until the end of the movie. But I liked how this movie introduced us to Chopsy, this caretaker of this campground, and how these kids pulled a prank on him, and then, but on accident, they burn him alive, and like he still lives, but he is taken to a hospital. And I think that it really, really works in a strong way, just how effective it shows this happen. Like, it really, the way that the Cropsey character is introduced and is immediately burned and then taken to the hospital. I looked up the synopsis online of how long it was because it didn't say how long since the kids had the prank and since Cropsey is taken out of the hospital, and it said 5 years on Wikipedia, so I guess that's true. I don't remember it saying any time frame difference. It just showed like the campground again. I don't remember it saying 5 years later. But I thought that it just worked really well as a solid opening to have this happen, and then you know immediately who the killer is. And I like that it's not a mystery, and I like how it's still really, really like disturbing, especially because of the gore. The gore really works really well in this movie. There are moments where it really is so strong on just being these quick, gross gore moments. And of course all these horror movies have that, but I think that it works really well in this movie. Like, for example, the scene where the kids are all on the canoe or on the boat they made themselves and find that canoe out there in the water that they were looking for. And whenever they make it there, of course, Cropsey comes up and gets them. With that awesome, I love how he has the garden shears, but he has them up in the air, and that shot of him always doing that direction. That's a really cool, and I think really should be an iconic shot for a horror movie. Because that's just a really disturbing, even though you don't see it happen, like him going down on it for that second. I like that shot of him with the shears up in the air, in the dark, like just showing like a shadow with doing that. That really is effective and really scary, and I think that it works really effectively in this movie. And like I said, that scene alone, where like he pops up, he like cuts a kid's fingers off, he like stabs all these people into like the head or the chest, and the effects work is really strong for it, and I think that it really works well. And I thought that the characters, even though they're horror movie characters, are pretty interesting. They're simple, but they're fun and entertaining. And I liked how we have Jason Alexander in this, and Holly Hunter. Even though Holly Hunter has like one line or two, Jason Alexander has a lot. I like that they're in this, and like you see them first in this movie. It was I looked at Holly Hunter's filmography, and this was the first movie she ever had done. But I like that you have those two actors in it that are really not, like, they never did anything before this, I don't think. I don't know about Jason Alexander. I know Holly Hunter didn't, but I thought that was cool, and I like whenever they do that, and you watch an old movie like this and go, oh, cool, these actors were in it. That's pretty cool. And just the score, I think the score is one of the coolest scores. After I watched this movie, which was literally like a couple minutes ago before I made this video, listening to that score, it was really fantastic. And the second the movie ended, I had to go on YouTube and listen to the score. And there's this one music suite for it that's 10 minutes long, and it is epic and one of the best horror scores for like 80s horror films like I didn't even know about. And I'm so glad I saw this movie, and I'm so glad it was really good and really entertaining and really disgusting in a good way. And the characters were simple but likable, like a typical horror movie. But I really liked how this movie was done. It was very effective. And I liked how the movie we didn't have any sequels to this, apparently. And I liked how, even though Cropsey died at the end, we get like another set of campers talking about him again, but you don't see him pop up again, which I think was another cool thing to do, because we usually always have horror sequels to these things, especially in the 1980s. Most of these movies don't go without horror sequels. There are, of course, ones that don't have horror sequels in the 80s that came out, but a lot of them did, and this one I'm surprised didn't, especially with how this movie was really effective and really good. So that really surprised me, but they did kill off the killer, even though, of course, you can write the killer back into the next movie again. They do that with a lot of these franchises where they'll die completely, but then they'll bring him back. But I like that they didn't. I like that they just kept this a one-note movie. Like, it was just one movie and that's it. And it was really, really fantastic, and I can't believe it took me this long to see this. But now that I saw it, I'm really thankful, because this movie was awesome. I loved it so much. That's pretty much all I could say about it. It was just really, really good and a really entertaining horror film. Thanks guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.